beautiful people. So today we are going to be making teddy bear wax melts, and we're going to be making some clamshell wax melts. So meet me on the other side. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My background is a little different today because we're going through the process of making teddy bear wax melts as well as some clamshell wax melts. Now you don't have to use the teddy bear molds, you don't have to use clamshells. This is just the process that I use to make my teddy bear wax melts as well as my clamshell wax melts. But you can use this to make any shape you want to make. If you want to make heart-shaped wax melts or just plain square wax melts, individuals, clamshells, I mean there are so many things out there that you can use to make your wax melts. It's just your preference and what your brand is and what you choose to sell. So anyway, enough talk, let's get into this tutorial. So I already have my double boiler going. The water's already boiling. I've already measured my wax, and so for wax melts I just use a 9% fragrance load, and this is actually 390 grams or 15 or 13.7 ounces of tart wax. And then I use a 9% fragrance load, so we're going to measure the fragrance, and that is going to be 60 grams or 2.1 ounces for 390 grams of tart wax. So I'm going to take the wax and I'm going to put it inside of the double boiler, and we're going to allow that to melt. So as far as the wax melts are concerned, I use these cute little teddy bear molds for my wax melts. And for my clamshells, of course, this is a clamshell container. That's what I use for that. And then this thing is a funnel. And so I find it so much easier to use a funnel when filling my wax melts. It just goes so smoothly. You just pour your wax mixed with your fragrance in here, press this little button here, a lever, whatever you want to call it, and it opens up in the inside and allows you to just slowly pour your wax into your melts and your tarts, which is really nice. I really love it. It has made my process so much easier. Then of course you have your scale because you need to measure. I have my timer because I always stir my wax and my fragrance together for at least 2 minutes. I have my thermometer so that I can measure temperature, and I also have a wooden stick. I sanitize my stainless steel table before I started, just to make sure everything was clean, and of course I'm using gloves as always. So we're going to go ahead and let the wax continue to melt in the double boiler, and then I'm going to come back and show you how I pour in my fragrance and mix it all together, and then get it into the molds so that they're ready to go and ready to go be packaged. So let's get started, you guys. So I already have my wax melts, my wax molds laid out. I use the cute little teddy bear wax molds, super cute, and these silicone molds came from Amazon. You can do any shape you want. You can do hearts or flowers or whatever you want. And then I just use the standard tart clamshell molds for that, and so I just lay them all flat here until everything is ready to go. I already have my wax here melting on a double boiler. We're going old school for this because I'm not doing a whole lot, and I usually tend to kind of use my double boiler for wax melts and clamshells. For this, I am going to be using 16 ounces or 454 grams about of the wax. And this is the Tarte Melt Wax from California Candle Co. And then I am going to use a fragrance oil of about 2 ounces. Now, generally, the rule of thumb is 16 ounces of wax calls for basically 1 ounce of fragrance oil. I don't like to follow that because I find that it's not strong enough. So I do 16 ounces of wax and 2 ounces of fragrance oil. And that's 454 grams of wax and 57 grams of fragrance oil. So I went ahead and measured that out. I put it on the double boiler. We're going to want to allow this to heat to about 180 degrees, the melt point for the wax. So I'm just gonna measure that, and we don't need to get a close-up of that because we already know, if you watch my other videos, you know that you'll have a thermometer to measure your wax and all that good stuff. So this is perfect. This is at about 183 degrees. So we're going to want to take this off. And the nice thing about this work table that I have, which is stainless steel, is that you can just set things on it, and once you're done, it's so easy to clean off. So I have my wax at about 183 degrees. I've already measured my fragrance oil in this little glass anchored jar. And so we're gonna wait until this wax gets down to about 155 degrees to 150 degrees Fahrenheit before we mix in our fragrance oil. So I'm gonna put my thermometer back in there and just watch the temp because we don't want it to cool off too much. And make sure when you do this, you can do a couple of rounds of testing. It'll definitely help you depending on what fragrance oil you're using. Some of the fragrance oils are stronger than others, so you may need more or you may need less. If it's a little bit stronger, you'll need less, and if it's weaker, then you'll need more. But you'll be able to determine that once you begin making, your wax melts and your tarts and clamshells and all of that good stuff. So just keep that in mind. So my wax is now down to 158 degrees. So we're gonna let that cool down just a little bit more because I do want it to be at about 150 or so. And you'll notice when you stir, kind of take your thermometer and stir it in the wax. It did say 158, but now it's up to 167. So just stirring it around will give you a more even measurement of what degrees or what temperature it's actually at. So let's give that another quick stir just to see what the temperature is at this point. And that is about right. So we're gonna take our thermometer out and we're going to go ahead, get our timer, set it for 2 minutes, get that started, and I'm going to pour in my fragrance oil. I like to stir a little bit as I pour, and I pour slowly, of course, and get all of that in there. And then I'm just going to stir for about 2 minutes. I'll give you a little bit of a close-up as to how it looks. As you know, I don't usually put color into my candles. Maybe down the line if I can find something natural then I may try it. But right now, I just use my wax and my fragrance oil. And some waxes are a bit more tinted than others depending on what type you're using. Like if you're using a beeswax or something like that, it's going to be more yellow. And also some of your fragrance oils are going to be a little bit darker. So I find that some of my woodsy or, you know, smoky fragrances are a bit darker, and it gives my my candles a bit of a tint, as well as my wax melts. It gives it a darker tint, like a warm kind of yellowy tint. And then some of the fragrances are completely clear, which means my wax will keep its color. So that's about 2 minutes. We're going to stop the timer, and then we're going to check the temperature again, just to see if it's ready to pour. And again, we're gonna do our pour around 140 to 145 degrees or something like that. And this is perfect. It is ready to go. So now for the fun part, we are going to pour our wax into the funnel. Don't press the button. So we're gonna pour it into the funnel like so. Get it all in there. And then we're going to begin making our wax melts. We're gonna start with the teddy bear wax melts. So I'm just gonna release the funnel a little bit, and this can get messy, so be careful. Make sure you are pouring these up high enough, because if you don't, once you go to take your molds out, they will break, and that's not going to be good. That's going to be a waste of your time. So I did get a little messy because I pushed down the funnel too hard, and this is something that you should be mindful of. Just press down slowly. And for my tart, I do the same thing on my clamshells. I just make sure that I'm pouring it in gently. Get enough, of course, in there. Let me give you a little bit more of a close-up on this. So I wanted to get a little bit closer so you could really see how I am pouring in my wax melts. And so again, I'm using my funnel. I've already poured some, as you can see, and this funnel is so great because it is not leaking, it is not spilling. It's absolutely amazing. So now, well, I need to use my right hand. So I'm going to do it again, and hopefully you have a little bit of a better view with this. Just gently press down and fill your tart. Clamshell. I don't know why I always want to call the clamshells tarts. And then we're going to fill up another one of the teddy bear wax melts. Again, you want to be gentle with these. Making sure you're filling them all the way to the top, but not too much. You don't want it to be too messy, and you don't want to waste. But if you don't fill them up enough, they could potentially break on you. I've had that happen. So just make sure you get enough. This is like really fun, you guys. So we're gonna do the green one. And I have a red one over here that I need to fill as well. I may not get through the full red one, especially since I spilled a little, but you know, that's okay. I will measure these out and package what I have. So then after that, you basically just make sure you let your wax melts just sit. Don't bump them, allow them to solidify, and then you can go from there. So let's go ahead and allow these to solidify, and then I will come back and show you how I pop them out. Okay, so I left and ran a few errands and came back, and my wax melts are solidified. Now, I was a little sloppy with these this time around. I should have taken my time and went a little bit slower, because you really don't want to have a lot of overlap like this, because that will mess with the shape of your teddy bear wax melts or your shaped wax melts. So when you pull them out, it'll have extra on there, and you don't want to have to break stuff off like that just to make them look like a full shape. So, but you see the thickness of them. They're thick, they're nice and thick. They smell so good, so fresh. I love them. And they're super cute. You can color these, you can do whatever you want with them. These are going to be better fit for my teddy bear wax melts. Those are gonna just pop right out, and the shape is going to be perfect. You're not gonna have to break anything off of these. They're just gonna be perfect. So, lesson of the day is, do not do what I did and get happy and over pour your wax melts. Oh look, it even made a little shape on my table there. So anyway, I'll just keep these for me. I can just dump them in my wax warmer and, you know, just keep them for me. That's the good thing about making your own product. When you screw up, you can keep them for yourself and test them out that way. So yeah, so anyhow, when you are pulling these out as well, make sure that you are going with 2 fingers underneath the shape or the silicone and popping them out like that to make sure that they don't break. Now let me see if I can find one that I may have made too thin. Maybe here. Let's see. See that? If you make them too thin, they will crack on you. Look how thin this one is. You see that? How thin it is compared to one of these. These are super solid. Well, these are super solid and thick enough. These are super thin, so when you try to pop them out, they're going to crack on you. So like I said, just make sure whenever you're making your wax melts that you're at least getting it fully to the top. Not spilling over, but getting it fully to the top. Now with these, I could potentially just kind of scrape the wax off and pop them out, but that's gonna be too much. I'd rather keep them for myself because they smell really good. But anyhow, after I pop out all of my teddy bear wax melts, I basically just take a bag like this with a little window and open it up, and then I will fill the bag up with the wax melts. And after I fill them up, and I like these bags because you can see the little teddy bears here. This is one that I already did. and so you can see the little teddy bears there. And then I just take my linen paper and I make a label for them, because of course I want my wax melt labels to basically match my candle labels. So that's for the teddy bear wax melts. And then these are the clamshells. So you see those have solidified, and you can go over on these. That's perfectly fine, because you want this to be nice and flat here. I kind of moved the table a little bit when I was doing this after I poured it, so it rippled a little bit, but that's still okay. I mean, it's not a candle, so they're just gonna break these apart and put them in their wax warmers anyway. So then what I would do is just basically close it, and again put one of those linen labels that I have on my candles onto my clamshells. And basically that's about it. Really simple, super easy. Again, I got a little sloppy with it today. You have to be careful when you're using this funnel, the funnel that I use, because if you press this button down too far, it is definitely going to just spill out, and that's what happened to me today. But you know, I'll live. I'm sure I'll be able to get enough of these out to make a pack, and then the rest that don't quite look right or that break apart, I'll just save them for myself. So that is how you make, well, how I make my clamshells and my wax melts. So that was a hard day of work, huh? No, I'm just kidding. So let me know your thoughts on this process. If you've tried it, do you make wax melts and clamshells for your business? Would love to know, you know, what are your thoughts and what are some of your methods? This is just the way that I do it. I prefer to do it, my calculations, my measurements, my fragrance load, all of that stuff. It's just what I found has worked for me in my testing. Yeah, I mean, it's just simple as making a batch, using a particular fragrance load, 9-10%, whatever you want to use, and then making another batch and maybe going up from there, down from there. As I said before, when you're making wax melts and clamshells, depending on the fragrance you're using, if it's kind of weak, you may have to go up, and if it's very strong, then you can go down a little bit. Sometimes I find the more premium and luxurious the fragrance oils are, you get a better scent throw in your wax warmer. So yeah, just, you know, this is a tutorial on the wax melts and the clamshells. I am also, of course, doing the series on, you know, the business part of things. How are you starting this business, and what it took for me to get up to the point where I'm physically making my products and selling them to actual customers. So I know that to some people is probably the boring part. I didn't like to have to go through it either, but it's just what you have to do when you're a business owner. So I wanted to make this tutorial because I still want to show you all how I am making certain things, but also help you all with the business side of things. I'm not an attorney. I am not a business law professional or anything like that. These are just things that I've researched and that I know and that I've tried, and things that I have personally gone through and dealt with throughout the process of building my business. So anyhow, this was a tutorial. I hope you liked it. Again, questions, comments, leave them in the description box below. I am definitely going to link all of the materials that I used today. And then I just love to know if you're going to add wax melts and clamshells to your line of candles. So Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm a little bit tired because I just came back from running some errands, so excuse me if I'm out of breath, but I wanted to come back and finish making this video because I knew that the melts and clamshells would be solidified. So just wanted to do that really quick. So thank you, love, so much as always for watching this video, this tutorial. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you next time where I will be pouring some candle tins. So I've showed you how to do the jars. I've showed you how to do the teddy bear wax melt and the clamshells, and then next I'm going to show you how I pour my tin candles. And basically I'm not going to show how to do the labels. I'm going to do a different video, I guess, to show how I measure and cut all of my labels. So the circular labels, the labels for the teddy bear wax melt bags, and the labels for the clamshells. And I've already pretty much shown how I do it for the jars, but maybe I'll throw that in too, just to have everything in one video. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that, if you want to see that or not. And also comment on some things that you do want to see that maybe I haven't done or something like that. So again, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you next time. Bye, loves.